Hi, I'm Cameron Copeland, a current PhD student at Southern Cross University, studying how soil biology can improve our agricultural systems. I'm here at Dr Lukas Van Zwieten's farm on the Northern Rivers for part 2 of our soil masterclass. Lukas is an adjunct professor at SCU and a senior principal research scientist at New South Wales DPI. In this video, we'll check out Lukas's compost and see how he manages his soils for optimum pasture production. Lukas will also share his top 3 tips for how other farmers can improve their soils. Let's go see what he's up to. Lukas, you mentioned soil amendments and composting. We're here in front of 2 composts that you have here on the site. How important is it to have something like this available for your horticultural production?
Yeah, we're lucky we can make our own compost on site, but there are several companies also where you can purchase compost from. So what we have here are 2 piles of differing maturity. This pile is now ready to be put onto our new orchard that we've only recently planted. That compost pile now is a bit more than 6 months old and it's fully mature. Whereas this pile here is only a couple of weeks old. We can still see pieces of wood chip in it, and that pile will start to mature when that wood chip starts breaking down and doesn't generate any more heat. So that thermophilic process of composting has completed.
Now, that breakdown results in different minerals and nutrients that the hort production loves to get.
Yeah.
What are you looking for in terms of composition of a compost or an amendment?
Yeah, so certainly when the compost first starts out, like this compost here, it tends to have a high-ish carbon to nitrogen ratio, maybe 25 or 30 to 1, so 30 carbons per 1 nitrogen. When it's mature, that carbon to nitrogen ratio comes right down to maybe 15 to 20 to 1, or possibly even lower. And that means that when that material gets added onto your soil, it's an organic form of nitrogen fertilizer that as that compost starts turning into the soil, as it starts breaking down, will start releasing nitrogen and other elements like sulfur and phosphorus as well.
So Lukas, we were talking about the important components of a compost. Tell us a bit about this one here.
Yeah, so this particular compost is a mix of chicken litter that we purchase commercially, and also trees that have been mulched up from our site. So some of the tree prunings and other trees that have been removed. So yeah, it's a mix of these two components, and we started off with a carbon to nitrogen ratio of probably around 40 to 1, and as the temperature of the compost gets a bit hotter, sort of those thermophilic temperatures of 60 odd degrees Celsius, we come with a tractor in the form of a bucket and we turn it over.
Fantastic, let's have a look.
Why not? There we go, Cam. You can feel it nice and hot, and lots of actinomycetes activity. So Cam, why don't you tell us about the actinomycetes? It's a bit of an area of a topic of speciality that you've developed.
Yeah, so you were mentioning about the breakdown of the sort of the wood chip in part of the compost. Actinomycetes are decomposers, so they're the microbes that are breaking down that wood chip and turning it into the type of carbon or the nutrients that your horticulture production system is going to take up. They have other roles, including disease suppression, so they release these sort of enzymes as part of a byproduct of that decomposition. These enzymes have antibiotic but also fungal suppression properties, and so very, very important for healthy soil. So composting, when you're adding this to your system, you're also adding that ability for these actinomycetes to continue on that disease suppression. And also the breakdown part of it is not just things like the wood chip, there's other polymers and other forms of carbon that they break down and I guess create a more plant available nutrient. So on your property here, where would you use this kind of compost?
Yeah, because the compost is relatively high value material, it'll go mainly in the horticultural trees, the custard apples and also the figs. And with the pasture we'll use more traditional amendments like lime and some urea to top up the nitrogen supply.
Is that a decision around your soils and your areas, or is that more of an economic decision?
Yeah, it's pretty much an economic decision. Yeah, if we had enough compost to adequately go over the whole pasture area, we would do it. But yeah, it's expensive to purchase, and it's quite an energy intensive and labour intensive material to make.
So speaking of your pastures, why don't we go have a look?
Let's do that.
So Lucas, we have to mention this view. Not many people have this as their backdrop to their pasture production systems.
Now, we're pretty lucky, and obviously this was one of the considerations in purchasing the property. The very nice amenity, and as you can see from the topography, we are at the top of the hill, which does mean that the place gets windy, and it's that wind, I think, that is really useful for the horticultural crop to minimise some of those fungal diseases. But that's why we also had to put all the trees on the trellis so they don't blow over. So everything comes with a pro and a con as well.
So when you first bought the property, you said that it was 100% grazing production.
Correct.
What have you done to sort of improve the pastures here on the property?
Yeah, so pastures can be overgrazed, and you'll typically find that many pastures tend to be overgrazed, especially under drought conditions. So one of the things that we definitely try and minimise is overgrazing, and as you can see, we've got very good ground cover here, and we do some amendments. So again, we try and optimise our pH. Our goal is to get our pH to about 6 to 6.5, and we oversow in winter with ryegrass. So that means that we've got the summer production with the C4 kikuyu, and the winter production with the ryegrass. And oversowing with ryegrass is actually a very simple task. We put it in our fertiliser spreader, we spread it out, we mulch it with our mulcher, and a few weeks later we've got the very nutritious ryegrass growing up for the cattle.
So you're saying that reducing sort of overgrazing is important. How do you go about that? Is it a rotation regime? You've got obviously a couple of different paddocks here on site.
Yep, so we try and rotate the cattle around 5 different areas. So we've got 5 areas of about 1 hectare each, and they get around about a week in each area. So we get 4 solid weeks of rest in between. And I think that's very important to regenerate the grasses, and it's part of that rotational grazing that really has been well known for 50 years, to optimise pasture production and soil health.
And with sort of underpinning as a ferrosol, does compaction come into play, and your stocking rate? How do you approach those decisions?
Yeah, so compaction is more of an issue when it's very wet, and in particular around the cattle troughs where the cattle tend to congregate. But we have some of the gravel pads there around the cattle troughs to avoid that compaction. But yeah, it is definitely something that we do try and minimise, but when you have good ground cover, a very well structured soil and roots going down to depth, compaction does tend to be a lot less of an issue.
So Lucas, we see a few of the cattle lying down.
Yeah.
Are they have a bit of a rest? What's that about?
Look, that's a good thing. It means that they've got their bellies full, and in particular they've already found most of the good ryegrass in the paddock, and they're chewing their cud and putting on fat, which is what we're aiming for.
You're talking about sort of a nutrient content of your pastures. Is pasture type an important decision in grazing?
Yes, absolutely, and there are a lot of opportunities to do pasture improvement. We've got some pastures where we definitely incorporate some legumes, where we've got in particular some white clover incorporated, and that gives us a bit of free nitrogen through nitrogen fixation. But also the cattle like the clover, and we find that companion planting, that mixed species pasture tends to do very well. It tends to be more productive than simple monoculture pasture.
How does the sort of soil type influence pasture growth?
Yeah, look, absolutely, and certainly soil pH is an important factor. Where you get the pH right, you get your nutrients right, you tend to get less weeds, and you get more pasture production. So it's definitely important to get some of these bases right. So get your available phosphorus, available nitrogen, potassium, and pH right, and you set yourself up for success with pasture production.
So Lucas, you mentioned mixed species pastures being very important.
Yeah.
Here we've got 4 different species that we're looking at.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about it and why it's important from a pasture's point of view, but also for your soil?
Yeah, so again, having that mixed species pasture optimises your biological inputs into the soil, but it also gives the cattle an improved feed, so they tend to have higher rate of production and more nitrogen, more protein in their diet. Here we can see the ryegrass, beautiful shiny leaves. The cattle will often selectively graze that. Got a bit of chicory here. Again, a very useful companion plant in a pasture to increase mineral uptake. So this tends to have a very high mineral content. got a bit of white clover in here, and the white clover will naturally fix atmospheric nitrogen and turn it into plant available nitrogen in soil, and our base kikuyu, which provides the summer dominant rainfall.
Right, well, let's take a look.
Let's do it. Okay, let's turn that sod over. Let's see a bit of earthworm activity here. Lots of earthworm casts there, earthworm burrows. Very well structured soil, lots of root, and importantly lots of different roots in this soil system. And you can see here it's actually quite a root tangle. Hard to pull it apart. There are lots of roots in that system. And what's quite obvious here, we've got very different root architectures. Here we can see that the chicory has got more of a taproot, and it's quite a thick root system, which is going to leave natural burrows in the soil, which allows water to infiltrate better. And we've got a fine tangle of grass roots here as well.
So that's a pretty concentrated root system. Can you speak more about how a root system like this would improve, say, a rhizospheric microbial interactions, that carbon turnover, which is obviously very important for nutrients for the pasture growth? Yeah,
so you can see here we've got lots of roots, lots of fine roots, and each of these roots is now feeding the soil biology. So as the plant is photosynthesizing, as it's taking carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere, it's turning that carbon dioxide into organic acids and sugars, which the plant is now feeding the biology to aid in the turnover of soil carbon and soil nitrogen. So it's mutually beneficial to both the plants, and also the plants are co-designing the rhizosphere to optimise that microbial activity.
And it's not just a plant growth perspective as well. There's the climate resilience, disease suppression, there's other functions that microbes sort of do in the soil. So it's important to have root systems just like this.
Exactly, and where you have this dense ground cover, for example, it's pretty hard for a weed to compete in that as well. So not only do we have that resilience by having lots of carbon and lots of nutrient cycling in the soil, we also have a lot less requirement for herbicide application, for example, to control weeds like fireweed. So having this level of ground cover, having that diversity, has got a wide range of both production and climate outcomes.
So Lucas, thanks very much for having us on your property today. It's obvious to see the benefits that you're sort of reaping from the experience that you have. What would be 3 takeaways for growers in the Northern Rivers in terms of their soil management?
Yeah, well, I think it's pretty challenging to distill it down to 3. But I think the first one is understand your soil, and soil testing will help you most of the way there. And I think if you don't really understand what the results come back, seek advice. And the third piece of information is maximise ground cover.
Beautiful, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming out.